right. You guys ready? You good? Okay. All right. Well, first off, thanks for being here. Appreciate you guys being here today with us. Couple quick things. First, appreciate you guys being here. I'm here to talk about a lot of things tied to the season. Before I get into that stuff, overall, looking back, 15 months in, it's been we set out some goals of originally be the best franchises, NBA and WNBA, across the board. And when I talked about when I bought the team, I said, hey, listen, we want to affect the culture, new headquarters, do the thing. We want to affect fan experience, make it great. We want to do the community. We got the TV, the games on TV. We want to affect the community with the All-Star games, done those things. But the fourth one is winning. We want to win. We want to win an NBA championship. And I love that people are frustrated that we didn't win an NBA championship. Because guess what? So are we. We're disappointed. We want to win an NBA championship. It's one thing to win 49 games and everyone get knocked out in the first round of playoffs and everyone high-fiving you. That's not what we're going to have in Phoenix. And it makes me happy. So I'm actually happy where we're at from that perspective, that people are disappointed, because guess what? There's not someone in the organization that's more disappointed than me, my GM, my CEO, my players, my coach. Everyone's disappointed, just like the fans. And guess what? I'm going to own the team for 50 years, and probably 45, 46, 47 of those years, we'll probably have the same conversation like, hey, we didn't win the championship, and we're going to be disappointed then too. And that's how it's going to be, and I love it, right? There's a lot of NBA teams and other teams that didn't get to the playoffs or didn't win an NBA championship. That the media is not upset, the fans aren't upset. They're just like, hey, all right, we got draft picks, we got this going in the future, things are cool. All right, we're looking forward to it. But I think some of the narratives around our team and our organization maybe are incorrect. And my perspective is this: we're in a great position. Not a good position, a great position. We didn't win an NBA championship, so we're going to figure out what do we got to change, what do we got to tweak, what do we got to improve to be better to win a championship next year. And guess what? We might not win one next year, but we're going to sure as hell try every single year. So get ready for that. And if people don't like that the owner and the GM and the CEO and the coach and the players are trying to win a championship every year, you're not going to like the Phoenix Suns or the Phoenix Mercury, which preseason's going on right now. We're excited about that too. You're not going to like it. That's what we're going to try to do every single year. We're going to try to compete at the highest level. And guess what? When you set high expectations, you don't always hit them. Now, with that being said, as the owner, there's accountability, right? There's accountability for everybody. I can take the accountability. We're going to celebrate when we win the championship, and we'll have a lot of fun with that. And when we don't win it, you guys can say, hey, Matt, you didn't do this right, or hey, James, you didn't do this right, or Frank, or the players. We get it. That's your job, and we understand that part of the game. But, it's our job to make sure we set the record straight and make sure you guys all know where we stand and how we think about it. And we are very disappointed that we didn't win a championship. And we'll say that again next year or the year after when we don't. And that's how we're always going to be here in Phoenix. And so hopefully you enjoy that and are proud of that, because I think in the last 15 years, I think the Phoenix Suns won 49 games. This is the third time, right? So in 15 years, so putting perspective in place. But it feels like we won 12 games the way people are acting, which is fine, because the reality is we're trying to win a championship. And I set those expectations. We want to be the best franchise in all of sports. Not the NBA or WNBA only, all of sports. And that's my job as the CEO or owner, with the CEO, with the GM, with the president of basketball, and everyone here. And everyone all the way through the 400 team members here at our company, we want that same thing and we care about it. So that's kind of how I think about it. I'm happy to take questions about anything. We're an open book. You guys will figure that out. I talk on media day and I'll talk after the season. I'm accountable good and bad. And once again, when we're doing great, give the credit to other people. When I blame me, I'm perfectly fine with it. But I feel like the narrative around the house is burning, it's incorrect. The Phoenix Suns are doing great. Excellent. Not as good as we want to be, and not as good as we're going to do next year. And that's what we're going to figure out. What do we got to tweak, modify, adjust to win a championship next year? And when we don't win it, or we do win it, even when we win it, by the way. So when we win a championship, we'll have the same thing. And I'll say, shoot, we won it, but we got to get better here and here because everyone else is coming for us. That's how we're going to do it in Phoenix. So get ready. And like I said, if fans like to look in the future and say, hey, I really like that 2031 draft pick because maybe that seventh grader is going to be really good and we're going to draft him and one day he's going to be a player. You ain't going to like the Phoenix Suns because we're going to say draft picks are to get great players. And we, by the way, narrative out there, and I know, Gerald, you got it right when I read what you wrote today. 5 of the next 8 years, we have a first-round draft pick. I know that's not a cool thing to say out there because people like to, say their narratives. We have no draft picks, but we have 5 of the next 8 years. And we can trade 2 of them next month if we want, right? So it's not like people say we have inflexibility. What would be a house on fire? We didn't have any players signed. We have our starting 5 signed for multiple years together. Do we have to make some adjustments because that starting 5 didn't win a championship? Of course we did. Of course we do, and we will. And you'll see it, and we're going to try to get some of our other free agents signed and kind of build this back and then figure out how do we tweak, modify to win an NBA championship. So I'll pause now and answer some questions. Anything you guys want to ask, I'm happy to do it. And then James is going to come up after, and he'll probably give you the real details, but I'll give you my perspective.
Hey, Matt, obviously when a team falls short of title expectations, you mentioned the accountability part. The coach is the first name that comes into question. Just wanted to get your thoughts on Frank Vogel's performance and his job security moving forward.
Yeah, so I'm not going to get into each coach. Here's how I think about it. Coach, GM, players, I'm not going to specifically get into each of them right now. Here's how I'll say it is, I just flew back from Michigan. I went to Michigan, and I was hoping to come back for Game 6, just like all of you guys were hoping, which would have been tomorrow night. But I'm not. I'm here to talk to you guys, and I have no problem going through it. I have not had one discussion. I know there's media reports and stuff, it's just not true. Not one discussion about my GM, my coach. We're trading players now, supposedly, in the media. Not one discussion's even been had, let alone a decision being made. So there's been nothing at this point on any of those things, on any of those people, and I'm not going to get into each personnel and each question, each player, because it's or coach or GM, but honestly, not even a discussion. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to have those conversations. I'm meeting with players, I'm meeting with the coach, I'm meeting with the GM, I'm meeting with the CEO, I'm meeting with all those people this week. That's what I'm here for.
Dwayne Rankin, Arizona Republic. Coach, Matt, we asked Coach about building off of year one for year two, and he said he had your full support. So to follow that up, so will he be back coaching next year when you put that into consideration?
Yeah, same answer. Once again, not one discussion about my GM, my coach, players. Are we re-signing? Are we trying to get what free agents? Just haven't had the conversation, honestly. I think Frank Vogel did a lot of great things. I think James Jones does a lot of great things. I think Josh Bartelstein does. I think our players do. I think I've done some great things, but we're going to evaluate everything, because here's what I think about from a coach perspective, assistant coaches. I know we lost our assistant coach who's going to get a job at BYU, knew great things there. The way I look at it is everyone is accountable. I'm accountable to you guys. The players are accountable to the coach is accountable to the GM is accountable to the CEO or to me, and however you want to think about it. And so we're going to evaluate everything, look at every single person. We got to look at the medical staff. Are we doing a good enough job there? We got to look at the player development. Are we doing enough? Everything is on the table to evaluate. We have just not started it. So when people are saying Matt's making a decision, he's going to do this, or James is going to do this, or it's just not true, and it hasn't even been discussed, really.
Matt, with the championship expectations kind of put out there, can you articulate level of disappointment not getting there? And do you think this is, how fixable do you think this is?
Oh, it's extremely fixable. I mean, let's just be real, although this isn't a cool narrative and the national media really won't want to play it out there, but ask the other 29 GMs. 26 of them would trade their whole team for our whole team and our draft picks and everything as is. The house is not on fire. We're in great position. It's not hard to fix. It's not like we're hey, we don't have enough talent to win a championship. We have enough talent to win a championship, right? Do we have enough continuity? Do we have time together? There's a lot of things we can look at. Do we have the right leadership in place? Do we have to add some little pieces around that? It's not like we don't have people that can score the ball, not that play defense and have one champ. We have all the things. And so how fixable is it? And I mean, if I read the media, I would think we have a lot of problems. But luckily, I get to spend time with the best players in the world, in my opinion, the best coaches, GMs, all these people, and I get to spend time with our people and say, we're in really great shape, and I wouldn't trade our team or our situation for anyone else's, except for I'd like to be playing right now, but besides that, for how going into the offseason, I feel great about it. It's not like there's a lot of other teams that have good players that have to re-sign them or they're going to lose them or that they're unrestricted free agents. Our starting five's coming back. I feel very good about it. How do we make a couple tweaks and adjustments? We won 49 games. Think about it. The first 30 games, we didn't really have Brad. I think we played 40 games with our starting five together. Man, if we played 50 with it, do we win 5 more games? And are we all of a sudden a 1 seed, right? It's not like we're inches away from where we need to be, right? And now, by the way, on the flip side, we're inches away. Other injuries, we could have lost some more games, right? So it's very touch and go all the time. So we have to put our team in position to be successful. And as the owner, my job is to work for the fans and deliver the best team possible. I talked about fan experience. I talked about culture. I talked about community. And like I said, we're talking about winning right now. And how do we make sure that we are in the best position to win a championship next year? That's my job. And guess what? I'm going to fail more times than I'm going to win, right? We're not going to win more championships more than half the time. So we're going to fail more than we're going to win. But it's not because we're not going to try. We're not because we don't care immensely about it.
Matt, Doug Haller with The Athletic. A lot of times championship teams, not a lot of times, almost all the times, have strong leadership within the locker room. They're player-led teams. How would you assess just the accountability and the leadership on this year's team?
So once again, you can go through, and James can probably answer more specifically on in the locker room because I'm not at every game. However, what I'll say is this: we have great leaders, great people. The coach is the leader, but then at the same time, you got Devin Booker, the face of the franchise, who's a great leader and holds people accountable. And once again, I see some of this stuff, what he does in the film room, what he does in the practice floor, what he does in the locker room. Like Devin Booker is that guy, and he's the face of the franchise, and he's going to be for the next 10 plus years until he retires. And so, like, Devin Booker is that guy, but you got Kevin Durant, you got Brad Beal, you got players that don't play as much that actually lead. And so I think it's a team effort, but at the same time, I look at the coach, star players, what do they do to hold people accountable? And then at the same time, as the owner and the GM and everyone's got to play their role. And so who's the leader on the floor? I mean, it's probably best to ask the coach and the GM and the players that, because I'm not in all those things, but I look at the coach and Devin Booker as those guys, as I look at as Devin Booker's team for, before I got here and hopefully for the rest of his career.
Matt, Kellen Olson, Arizona Sports. Good to see
Hey
you.
there.
The first round showed some of what the players had told us over the year, which is that the consistency just wasn't there. They were playing in spurts. Kevin, after Game 4, spoke to an inconsistency in the style of play. From your perspective, what led to these inconsistencies and what led to the team not being able to sustain those efforts over the course of full games?
Yeah, we all watch the game. I watch every minute of every game, just like I'm sure a lot of you guys do. And obviously, there's sometimes you look at our team and say, who's going to stop us? And then sometimes you look and say, like, how are we going to score next? And is that give and take? But don't forget, the way I look at it is the other teams have players too and coaches too, right? And some people are like, oh, you got all these guys, but like they're professional athletes too, and their job is to stop our professional athletes. And so I think there's always a lot of things we got to look at. You can look at the execution on the floor, you can look at roster construction, you can look at coaching, you can look at leadership, you can look at the other team. And so there's so many pieces, so it's hard to pinpoint one thing. And once again, James is the best at it. He knows that stuff inside and out, and I defer to him on, the in-game stuff that you want to talk about, or the coach Frank Vogel on in-game stuff. But as a fan and as a viewer like you guys and what I see, we have great players, great team, and we won 49 games. Not where we want to be, not where we want to go. But like championship or bust, like this isn't bust. Like we're in a great position. We're going to be in a great position next year. And the fans like hopefully are really excited about what next year looks like because it's going to be great. And hopefully it's better than this year. And that's the goal. And that's my job. And that's all of our jobs.
Matt, Cameron Cox, 12 News. Just want to give you another opportunity to clear up something else that was out there. It was reported that Frank Vogel wanted a point guard on this team and the front office did not. Is that true? And then do you think this team needs a point guard, true point guard, going forward?
Yeah, first, I'm a point guard. They didn't want to sign me. I'm not good enough. And so the truth is this. Like those decisions, one thing I love about James Jones and our organization is James, Frank, players, everyone talks about these things. And whether you need a point guard, whether you don't need a point guard, I think, there's a lot of different discussions. There's two smart people and both can go different ways. I don't know if that report is correct, by the way, whether Frank thought that or James thought that or vice versa. But we make a decision as a team, and I think the way we went with it, and James can go through more details on it, but, most people will argue, and I think James and Frank and everyone agreed this, that you want the ball in those three guys' hands the much as possible. And if you have a point guard or someone else out there, the ball's in their hands less. And you have to decide, is that what you want? And if you're the other team, what do you want? You probably want the ball in someone else's hands. And so those are decisions that I'm sure James can get more detail on why he thinks about it. But once again, doesn't mean he's right. Doesn't mean Frank's right. And by the way, I think they're both on the same page, to be honest with you. But once again, I don't know all the reports. A lot of people make up reports and say stuff, as I've learned, because when they say stuff about me or about other people, and I know they just are factually wrong, it's hard for me to recognize it. So I don't believe that was correct. But either way, James will give you more thoughts on point guard stuff.
Baxter Holmes of the ESPN. Matt, you talked about accountability. You're in your, I think you said 15 months on the job. I'm curious how you would assess the moves you've made in this time, the moves you've championed, and what you've learned and where you can improve.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things. Like the way I look at it is today, I'll be the worst owner I am for the next 40 or 50 years. Like I'm going to get better tomorrow, and I'll be better next month. And like I'm constantly getting better. Continuous improvement's a big part of my belief system, along with ours at the Phoenix Suns and Mercury. With that being said, I feel really great about all the things we've done in 15 months, right? The outcome of this year's playoff series and last year's playoff series, let's take those two things out of there. Besides that, I feel like we made a lot of amazing decisions, and that's not Matt decisions, that's all of us decisions, team decisions, from new headquarters to the TV deal to new food vendor in the stadium to new headquarters I just said new headquarters, but also dealing with then some of the trades. Like you look back at some of the trades that James and all of us were part of, right? Like we do those things 100 out of 100 times. Like not 99 out of 100, 100 out of 100, and we'd still do them again. And I think the other 29 GMs would all do the exact same thing. And so we feel great about the moves we made on the court, off the court, and we're really proud of it. That's why I talk about those 4 pillars. 15 months ago, I said it at my press conference, and hopefully in 15 years and 30 years, you'll be like, he keeps talking about the same stuff. But like, my job is to deliver on those 4 things. I work for the community. I work for the Phoenix fans in the state of Arizona, and I think I'm delivering what I said I would deliver. At the same time, winning is one of the 4 pieces, and we didn't win a championship. And I love, and I said this at the very beginning, I love that everyone wants us to win a championship. If we don't win a championship, people talk negatively about us. That's great. Like, I'm in the mortgage business. We're the #1 company. No one talks about the 312th biggest mortgage company. Nobody cares. They talk about the best. And I want to be in that conversation. Phoenix Suns want to be in that conversation. The Phoenix Mercury want to be in that conversation. We want you talking about us because you expect us to win. And if we don't win, it's like, man, what happened there? Something's wrong. Matt's wrong. This is wrong. James did this. Frank did this. Josh did this. Devin did that. Whatever you want to talk about, that's great. You're talking about the best. We think we're one of the best. We want to be the best franchise in sports, not just in the NBA or WNBA, and we're going to do our best to do it. And by the way, when you have high expectations, you're going to have a lot of failures. And I'm okay with that because I know how much I care and our team cares about being the best.
Hey, Matt, Barry Bloom from Sportico. How are you?
Great. How you doing?
Good. So this is my 49th year covering professional sports. And one thing I've learned and noticed over the course of the years is that when a new owner comes in from another business and starts to learn the sports business is that they don't have the control over sports that they have in the businesses where, they've become successful. And, there are so many different things in sports that you can't control. How have you dealt with that in your first 15 months? What's the thing you've learned the most? And what do you think you're going to do as you move forward?
Yeah, it's a great question. I get that question a lot. The first thing I would say that I can't control and it frustrates me is health, right? You always think about that, and obviously we were healthy in the playoffs with the exception of Grayson, but like just the whole season, like it's very frustrating. You build a team, you build a thing, and like a lot of NBA teams, a lot of people, so that's one thing that's new to me in the mortgage business, like they're out for a sick day, but they're back the next day, right? You got your people and your team to build around. But for the most part, like the thing I learned is there's more things similar than dissimilar. And it's all about people. It's all about culture. We have an advantage here in Phoenix. I got the best fans around, okay? And we have a great city, great location, great weather. Players want to come here. And so we build the right team and organization. What I've learned is you get the right team, organization, and people here, more great people will want to join. We've added on, I know this isn't what you want to hear about, but like we've added great chief marketing officer, great PR people, great people through the whole organization. And it's not because I know I'm fun and good looking and all that stuff, but it's because, Phoenix is pretty cool and people want to come here. And so same thing with players. Like we had players take less money to come be part of the Phoenix Suns. And once again, partially to win a championship and partially because we're in Phoenix. They love the fans. They tell me when we come to the Footprint Center, the fans love it. Like there's like reasons for it. So I've learned that people always wins in all business. Now in sports, the biggest difference for me is I can't do it. Right, like I as CEO of UWM, my mortgage company, like there's a problem, like I can go solve it, I can go call a client, I can go get involved. Here, the players, the coaches, they're the ones on the court, they're the ones showcasing whether it's the Mercury or the Suns, and so that's another thing. Health, and then at the same time, it's all about people, and then at the end of the day, it's on the court, and you get measured by that, and you get measured daily. In the mortgage business, you'll find out how we did it at the end of the quarter, and you'll be like, wow, they did great, but on March 4th, you don't know. Right? But on March 4th here at 9 p.m., you know whether we won or lost, and it's like, and everyone's evaluating. But we'll do a couple more. Go ahead.
Matt, Nick King from AZ Family. Kind of building off of that, you mentioned the health. When you bring in the talent that you did, is it surprising to you at all that the season was this rocky and that it ended where it did? Did you think it would be kind of easier to build the championship team?
No, well, listen, there's only 1 out of 30 that win, and we've had 56 years here in Phoenix and we've never won. So I don't get confused and think it's easy. With that being said, it doesn't mean I'm not going to go for it, and we're going to always go for it and try to figure out how to win. And so, the health, I'm not saying the health is why we didn't win or any of that stuff. What I look at is the way we didn't win a championship because of a lot of factors. Did I think it was going to be easy? No. But do I think we have a great chance to win it next year? Yes. And if I ever thought we didn't, I'd say that. I'd say, hey, listen, I don't think we have a good enough team to win a championship. I don't think we have one of the best teams out there right now, but we're going to compete. And there's going to be years that we don't think we're as good, and we win the first round or second round of the playoffs, right? And so I'm not that concerned about, like, I didn't think it was going to be easy. And by the way, accumulating the talent, right? You can give me credit for it, but really give James Jones credit for it. Like, he had a lot of draft picks, he had a lot of options. He went out and recruited it. Like, he did a lot of the stuff to help get us these great players, and I'm proud to have them. And obviously, I got to make them feel good. I got to talk to Grayson to make him feel good about wanting to stay. And Grayson wanted to be part of it. And like, there's a lot of stuff that I'm involved with. But at the same time, like, I feel great about where we're at. And at the same time, we want to get better. We want to win a championship next year, and that's why I'm in town right now, and that's what we're going to do for the next 3-4 months is figuring out how do we get ready for training camp to win an NBA championship next year. And if we don't, I'll sit in front of you again, and you guys will ask me a lot of questions, and I'll figure out, and I'll be accountable to that too, just like James is, just like everyone is at our organization. Go ahead.
Matt, Brendan Mao, Burn City Sports. When you look around the league, how important is continuity? And did you look at this year as kind of, I know Frank said it, Brad said it, this was year one. Did you look at, like, this is a clean slate and you want to build the continuity that some of these other teams have built around the league?
Absolutely. When we made the trade for Kevin Durant, you realize that we had 4 years with him, right? Right. So, that's a big deal. Same thing with Brad Beal. We had years with him. Devin Booker lined up for years. Nurkic, years. We got Grayson Allen for years. Now we got to go figure out how to get Royce or Josh Okogie or Bull and other guys for years. And, it was never, we're going to win a championship this year or we got to blow it up like these crazy stuff. It's just ridiculous stuff. And so, would I have liked to have won it this year? Absolutely. But I do think continuity, consistency, process works, and guys playing together. One of the things we talked about at the beginning of the year is, like, can we get our guys to play 60 to 65 games together, the starting 5? I think we played less than 40, right? That continuity does affect it. Now, doesn't mean that's why we lost. It just means it's something we have to be aware of. And guess what? Going into next year, knowing that we have all starting 5 back, right, I feel pretty good about that. And so will we be better next year than we were this year? Yes. Are we better this year than we were last year? Absolutely. Think about the team that lost in Denver, although it was the second round. Is our team better this year than last year? It's not even close. But we didn't win. So NBA championship, that's what we're focused on. And that's what we're going to focus on again this year coming up.
Dana Scott from the Arizona Republic. Just wondering about last year, this month, Monty Williams was let go. And you spoke about Devin Booker basically being the cornerstone of this team for his 9 years here. He's been through 6 coaches in that 9-year span. Does that give you pause in deciding the future of Frank Vogel, being that he's only been here since last summer?
So, once again, I haven't even discussed the Frank Vogel or James Jones or Josh, anybody conversation at all. And nothing gives me pause unless I'm trying to think about, well, how do we get us better? The only thing that pauses me is, are we getting better or are we not? Whether Devin Booker, like Devin Booker, I don't know how many coaches you said he has, 6 coaches in 9 years. That's not even a conversation in my head. What's conversation in my head is, do we have the right people? Leadership, from the general manager to the coaches to the players to the CEO to the trainers to the scouts to, like, do we have the right people in place to win an NBA championship? And that's what I'm focused on. And when we have those people, we'll win a championship. When we don't have that, we won't win a championship. That's really the thought process. The thought process is, are we good enough? We weren't good enough this year. I don't think we're as far away as some of the people like to think. I think we're actually a lot closer. But doesn't mean we're not going to make some changes and improvements, because that'd be silly to try the exact same thing without some tweaks to the roster. And obviously, we're going to have roster changes and things changing. We already have a different assistant coach. We're going to have to do, like, there's obviously some changes, but I don't think it's a blow it up and all these things out there that people want to talk about. I think we're in a great position. I'm proud of the Phoenix Suns. I'm excited about the Phoenix Mercury season right now, and we're going to try to do the same thing. And we'll do the same thing with the Phoenix Mercury. How do we win an NBA or WNBA championship? That's what we're going to try to do. And guess what, guys? I hope you guys know, like, I hate losing. Okay, you show me someone that likes losing, I'll show you a loser. Okay? I ain't a loser, and I don't like losing in anything I do. We try to win in everything we do. I want to win your guys' hearts over. I want you guys to be positive about the Phoenix Suns and Mercury. I want you guys to talk about all the great things that we're doing, not only me, but our whole organization. And we want to win an NBA championship, WNBA championship. But we are going to lose more years than we win. And I have to accept that. I have to talk to my kids. I got 3 little kids at home, and they're like, they get upset when we lose. I'm like, guys, we're going to lose 30 games this year. 30 times, you're going to be crying at night, okay? Like, don't get upset. And then we lost 33. They're like, it was 33, Dad, But that happens, right? We're going to lose, but we're not going to not care. We're going to care every single time, and that's what I'm all in about. So I believe in us. I believe in the team. I believe in the people we have right now. I love this city, and we're going to win an NBA championship. I'm going to bring it here. WNBA champs, we already won 3. We're going to win more, and we're going to do it together. And hopefully you guys will be there to write that positive story. And then you can ask me the same question and say, well, we won it this year, but so-and-so is going to leave. How are we going to win it next year? And I'll say, shit, let's figure it out. And that's what we're going to do. All right? Thanks, guys.